podcast with attitude. Welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Follow us on the internet at Odo Island Pod. I am drinking water tonight, KES. With me as always is a man who will buy it at a high price. Slick, how you doing?
Good. I am not drinking water tonight.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't say this before we started recording, but I chugged my first Celsius prior to coming here, and also a beer. And I'm drinking a beer now.
I'm more of a Fahrenheit guy myself.
Yes, I'm doing the trendy. It was good. That was good. I'm trying out the trendy energy drink that all the kids like.
Okay.
Mixed reviews of it. You know, it's nice that it doesn't have like all like the other awful shit that's like in all the other energy drinks, but I mean, it's still a fucking energy drink at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it was okay. I got the orange flavored one. You know, I would try it again. That's
cool.
My review of Celsius. Still
Nice.
has not replaced Monster in my heart.
5 out of 5 stars. Where is it?
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to try. There was some vodka seltzer that was advertising their watermelon flavor, and I was like, appealing to me, eh? I'll have to give you a shot.
You had the target demo for that.
I am. Love me some watermelon flavored stuff. So I forget the name of it though. So good luck to me ever finding it. That's the flip side of me. I either remember things perfectly from 20 years ago, or don't remember things that happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know. I mean, how good was 5 minutes ago anyway?
Yeah.
We were just sitting here.
Well, anyway, this episode we're talking about some Power Rangers. We're making the trip over to Angel Grove and
Yes.
partying with Tommy and the boys and the girls.
This is our first ever Power Rangers episode.
Yeah. I'm more of the Power Rangers guy than you, I think.
Yes, for sure.
I still have the toys from when I was little and rebought them, but I mean, who cares? Still have them.
Yeah.
Got pretty much every incarnation you could think of up there, or I can make any incarnation anyway. But just the original. I don't go into like the second season Zords when they're all different.
Sure, yeah.
When the original Zords died, so did my fandom.
Did you? Yeah, so you didn't like watch like the movies and stuff, right?
Oh, I watched the movies.
Did
sure.
you? Okay. But
I was just not as invested.
Yeah, I think I fell off. Like, so I was into Power Rangers as a kid, but by the time the movies came out, I think I had kind of fallen off by that point. I think in general, when Tommy stopped being the Green Ranger, I think that's like when I fell off.
He became the regrettable White Ranger.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah,
not the White Power Ranger, just the White Ranger.
Yeah, that's a name they probably would try to repurpose these days.
Yeah,
or maybe they don't. I don't know because I don't really keep up with the Power Rangers.
He eventually became a Red Ranger too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, yeah, there's a whole lot of Power Rangers lore. I just don't know. I did see though, like the timing of this is pretty good because it's like, did you see like there's like a
yes.
Power Rangers movie coming out in a few weeks on
yes.
Netflix with like who's still surviving from the original cast?
They did. I did see the Green Ranger involved with it. I don't know if they filmed it while he was still alive.
But the girl who I didn't know this, but the girl who played the Yellow Ranger is dead.
Oh yeah, she died in the 90s. She was also in The Crow.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
She was awesome.
That movie is cursed. Didn't she like die like in a car accident or something like that? Okay. Because like in the trailer, it looks like they like have a scene where it's like they kill her off.
Yeah, and they have her daughter or whatever.
Replace her?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I don't know if I'm going to watch that. But,
I'm definitely going to watch it.
I mean, I probably will. I mean, I guess. You know,
you still get Billy and Zach. Come on.
Oh yeah. It's just, you know, I really liked Power Rangers as a kid when it first came out. It was like super popular and everyone was into it. I think the more I got into Godzilla around this time, the less I was into, the more I got into Godzilla, the less I got into Power Rangers.
Understood.
I think is kind of the way I went.
I think making my parents spend all that money on those zords just so they could replace them was enough for me to just be like, I know what this is like. You're just gonna keep on doing this, aren't you?
Yeah, I sold you my childhood Dragon Zord, right?
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah,
he's part of Ultra Megazord.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually have many Power Rangers toys as a kid. I had the Dragon Zord because the Dragon Zord's fucking awesome.
The Dragon Zord is the best sword by far.
I had a couple of the alien villains they released, but I don't know, like the 3 Power Rangers toys that I have, the actual Power Rangers were actually Japanese imports that I found at like that Jolly Jim's flea market thing that used to be by us.
Oh, okay.
Which was, they were kind of like die cast and pretty sweet, and but yeah. I sold those too at some point. So I think I still have some of the Power Rangers villains floating around.
I have the Sphinx villain. That was the only villain I ever had. I have the black and gold die-cast Dragon Zord from Toys R Us that came out around like 2010, just before they went out of business. That thing, like I remember Dan got both the Megazord and the Dragon Zord, and I was just like, I'll just get the Dragon Zord because that's like the coolest thing ever. And then I wound up getting the Megazord, the regular Megazord from that line on eBay for like $30 shortly after that. So it's like I definitely made the right choice by not getting that. But then I have like all the original 93 set up as Ultra Megazord up there with Tightness. So I think the only thing I'm missing is the chains to link Tightness, like when Megazord's holding chains to. That's all I'm missing from that setup. But I have everything else.
Yeah, I think I'm very out of the loop on all this. Actually, like I've tried, like I mean, well, you and I, we were friends in elementary school. We went to different elementary schools.
Yeah.
And I remember.
Big island.
I know our hometown has like 5 elementary schools. It's for 9 square miles. It's kind of wild, but I know you and I were really into Power Rangers at this point in time, and I know you said at your elementary school before, like people weren't as.
Oh no, I was made fun of. I was the only person into it, and I was made fun of. Everyone just said that Power Rangers was for babies.
No, well, in my elementary school, everyone was like super into this, and I remember. Like, we're going to talk about the debut of the Green Ranger, and I remember, like, everybody, like, being whipped up about this series of episodes by elementary school. So, very unique, different experiences just being a couple miles apart from each other. But
yeah, I feel like I would have done a lot better at your elementary school. I would have fit in a lot more.
I think you hang around with a lot of people still to this day that went to that elementary school with you.
Yeah, it seems like I belong there and not where the one I went to. The one I went to, you were either, like, a rich preppy kid or like you're pretty much like just the biggest slime bag in the world. There was like very like little in between.
We just like the Power Rangers we like the Power Rangers and the Charlotte Hornets in my elementary school. That's what we did.
We played fucking no pads, full contact tackle football.
Oh, we did that too. And then we were quickly banned from that. But
we just did it after school.
We
did it for fun.
We just tried to do it at recess. But.
No, this was just like no rules. Walk home with bloody lips and noses. It was basically fist fights.
Yeah. Well, wild time back then in the 90s, specifically 1993 when this shit came out.
It's crazy to think that it's 30 years old now.
I know. It came out in October of 93.
Yep.
But that's not the only thing we're talking about today. We're also going to talk about the Godzilla vs. Power Rangers comic. Would you like me to do a little bit of news? A little tiny bit of news before we dive in?
Look me up, because I don't pay attention anymore.
So, today, because we're recording on Thursday and I don't have a ton of information yet, but did you see on the old Twitters that we got the Gamera anime poster, which officially revealed Gamera's look?
I saw that and people were just saying, oh, it looks like Legendary Godzilla, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of like...
Really? I didn't see that.
That's what my feed was like. I'm spending less time on Twitter.
That's weird. You follow so many people from your elementary school that have this take on Gamera. But I thought Gamera looks cool. I thought he looks kind of like grizzled, kind of. But he's like, so Gauss is in the poster, and Jiger from one of the Showa movies is in there. So I mean, it's basically just Gamera versus 5 kaiju. So now I know who 2 of the 5 are. But that's exciting stuff. I really liked the look of Gamera. He kind of looked like his like 90s style, just like a little.
That's what I thought, but
little on the grizzled side.
Apparently, everyone else just thinks they're copying Godzilla.
Again, it's weird that everybody from your elementary school has that take.
Bunch of jerks.
Everyone from my elementary school was like, "Oh, he looks really cool."
Yeah.
so we got that. And then the only other really notable thing is to bring up is I was very excited about this, and I pre-ordered these. That the first two Godzilla novelizations of the original 1954 movie and Godzilla Raids Again have been translated, and they are getting a release in the near future.
I saw.
Very excited for that. That's a nice little piece of Godzilla history right there.
I made the joke that I'll just wait for the movies to come out.
Ew.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Yep.
I think that's I saw that and like I'm excited about it for being as into Godzilla as I am. I don't know if like a casual fan will be into those, but for me, where I think it's like a nice little slice of history, I'm very excited for that. I pre-ordered that stuff right away.
Yeah, it was like $20 on Amazon, so
yeah,
for like a paperback version.
Yeah, I don't know anything really about like the Godzilla Raids Again novelization, so I'm excited to read that. It'll be fun. Good times. I'll have a little capsule review someday when that ever comes out.
We'll turn this podcast into a Godzilla book club. How about
yes. That? Okay. That's a good segue. Should we start with the book?
Yeah, why not? I just finished it today, so.
Yeah. So we did Godzilla versus the Power Rangers comic. So I guess we didn't really clearly state this. We're going to do the 5 episodes that the Green Ranger debuts on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But
yeah, the Green with Evil series.
Yes, but as a little teaser, or as a little not teaser, but a little appetizer. There we go, appetizer. We also read the Godzilla vs. Power Rangers comic book by IDW. Your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty much exactly what I thought like a Godzilla Power Rangers crossover would be. Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but like the bad guys linked up and it made sense. The good guys kind of linked up and it made sense. And then everything else just sort of fell into place. Yeah,
I did like how, well, I guess we could spoil like a little bit. For the Godzilla side, it's the Planet X aliens.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the Power Ranger side, it's Rita. And they do, ultimately combined together for 5 issues. Somehow this entire story plays out over 5 issues.
I thought it was enough.
I thought it was I bought it as a trade paperback and didn't buy the individual issues. But like I remember when I finished going, I was like, how did they get 5 issues out of that? Like man, it's like it just feels like 3 hours kind of passed by like in the whole comic.
Well,
and I was like,
so to set up how they got through it, it was like to start things off, Zordon sends Tommy, the Green Ranger, on a recon-only mission to see what Rita's up to in this weird cave place. And basically, she kills all the monks that are there who are protecting this crystal, and she acquires it. Tommy does not do recon very well. Tommy plays... If Tommy were playing Metal Gear Solid, he would be dead in like 5 seconds.
yes, yeah. Not a good squad member.
Yeah. But it's just him there, so Rita gets this crystal and she sends her and all her dominions to another dimension where she thinks she can conquer Earth and there would be no Power Rangers there. So, but Tommy gets sucked in with them, so Tommy shows up there as well. And the first thing they see is Godzilla just chilling there, like just destroying Angel Grove. Like,
yeah, who's he fighting when they first get there? He's fighting Megalon. Right?
Oh yeah, he's fighting Megalon. That's right.
Yeah.
And Tommy summons Dragon Zord, who is there in this dimension somehow. That's not really explained, but so the first thing you really get is Godzilla versus Dragon Sword. So you're just kind of like, sweet.
A lot of schoolyard debates got settled real fast.
Well, I think
I'm glad to say I won them all.
I think the right thing happened. Godzilla pretty much trounces Dragon Zord.
Yeah.
It's not the match you would expect it to be. It's not CM Punk versus John Moxley at All Out. It is CM Punk versus John Moxley at Dynamite. Where Moxley just whips him twice and beats him.
Yeah.
So it's a squash match, and Godzilla wins. Tommy is then captured by Rita and the Exilians, who are now teaming up to try to conquer the world. And that's when the Power Rangers are sent to the other dimension by Zordon, I guess.
With very little effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole multiversal travel, not much of a problem.
Yeah. So like the Zords just being there and them being sent there so easily was kind of like, all right, I'm glad you didn't spend too much time over explaining this. Like we just got there. All right.
Yeah.
Like, but it's a plot hole nonetheless.
Well, I like how like Rita is like seeking out this thing to
Right.
travel the multiverse, and Zordon's like,
Yeah.
don't worry, guys, I found Tommy. Off you go.
So maybe Zordon's more powerful than Rita in the lore. I don't know. I thought they were equals, but guess not. Zordon doesn't need no crystal.
No.
So the Power Rangers show up. They get Megazord, and Godzilla fights the Megazord after he beats Megalon, and Godzilla wins pretty easily. But then Rita and the Exilians send their monsters, and I like how there's contrast between Rita's monsters, which are like controlled beings, and then
Yeah.
the Exilians having their monsters, which are they can't control. And like Gaigan was like the only one we could kind of control, and he's a coward. He flew away.
He's a freelancer.
So I like that dynamic. They keep on throwing, like Rita keeps on throwing more monsters down there, and then the Exilians are more like reserved, like maybe we shouldn't do this. And then Rita eventually gets sick of their shit and just takes over and is like, no, we're sending like your biggest monster out there, and then just like, we don't want to do this.
Yeah.
like it's a bad idea. And so she does it anyway. So long story short, they send King Ghidorah out there, who just starts kicking everybody's asses.
And he is also like Godzilla domination size.
Yeah,
Like, he's like Mecha King Ghidorah, Godzilla domination size.
he's like way bigger than Godzilla and Megazord. And but at the same time, an Exilian frees Tommy basically after King Ghidorah attacks the ship.
Oh yeah, that was a little weird.
So King Ghidorah, they can't control him. He attacks the Exilian ship. The Exilian frees Tommy. He's just like, oh, thanks. He's like, don't thank me. We're still enemies. Like,
Yeah,
I
he's
still
like,
wanna
he's kind of like,
dominate your
listen,
world."
we kind of realized we got to regroup in this situation, so we're gonna free you to facilitate us regrouping.
So one of the I took a picture of that because that was my favorite frame in the whole thing, where Tommy's like, thanks, and the Exilian's like, nah, I'm a dick. Like, and so Tommy's just like, that's weird. So he goes. They get Dragon Zord back, and they combine it to Ultra, or was it Dragon Megazord? I forget what the name of it is. It's the second coolest thing you could do with Dragon Zord. The coolest is Dragon Zord in battle mode, or I think it is.
Oh, okay.
When Dragon Zord,
Oh yeah.
when Dragon Zord is basically Megazord instead of the Tyrannosaurus.
yes,
That's the best sword. But they combine it to one. So Godzilla is on one side and Dragon Megazord is on the other side, and they blast King Ghidorah and knock him out and beat him. And that's when they start. Godzilla's just looking over at Megazord or Mega Dragon Zord. He's just kind of like, fuck you too. And so they Zordon warps the Power Rangers out of there to save them, and Rita gets sort of stuck in limbo basically, with like fragments of different universes. So you see like Showa Godzilla, Millennium Godzilla, GMK Godzilla. You see different versions of the Power Rangers in different universes.
Yeah, that was the best. That was a great way to end that.
Yeah, so Rita's like floating off in limbo, like having to basically choose which dimension she winds up in, all of which inhabit some form of
Yeah, Power Rangers or
Godzilla that will dismantle her.
Yeah, I was like, good luck with the GMK universe. Have fun with that.
I would probably choose that one.
So I like this. I mean, it is what it is. It's just it's a fun little novelty.
It's not like
comic
earth shaking, or it's exactly what I thought Godzilla Power Rangers crossover should be.
Yeah.
Done well, looks great. No complaints.
Yeah. I mean, the dialogue is like so Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Like exposition heavy. Just at first I was like, the art was like a little weird to me because like everyone's like kind of like weirdly jacked and stuff like that. Speaking another Godzilla domination reference, it's like, again, like everyone's jacked, but at the same time too, it's like, I mean, like there's so many like modern comics I see that it just has like this like really like just painfully flat like artwork and stuff that like this kind of felt like old school style art, and everything was like a little like over the top character wise.
Sure.
And so I thought it was good. That was cool.
I liked how it looked. I would think that I would say the only criticism really is like the Zords were kind of muted colors. They're usually a little bit brighter and more colorful. But if I'm making a stick about that, then my
Yeah.
opinion of it is pretty high. So
Godzilla was booked strong.
Godzilla was booked very strong.
I think the Exilians were booked a little weak against Rita. I think they should have been a little bit more on equal footing.
I think Rita should have. I think the Exilians should have turned on Rita and been more devious.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
and cunning than her. I feel like them just like brute force taking over them after a while could have been more fleshed out. Like I feel like the Exilians should have been like, oh, you're on our ship. Like they should have just like been like, oh yeah, you're. They should have like treated them like Rita was in charge, and then a double cross, a swerve, bro.
Rita feels very overpowered in this comic series. Like there's like no flaws to Rita. Like she's, but I mean, I guess that's good too. But it just didn't seem like it wasn't like the character that I really remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, it was like, is she like this? Like in all the comics? Like is she just like super powerful? Like because there's like no flaws in her game here. She's just like has like literally just taken over like an entire like alien race like in like the course of 3 panels. So, but fine. But I mean, whatever. It was fun.
So where are you ranking this one?
I think it's kind of middle of the road for me. I think it's 3 stars. Again, I don't know how this is 5 issues. I feel like this could have been 3 issues and you could have got the same story done. I feel like Tommy's locked up for like eternity.
I think that's how you got 5 issues because he was locked up for so long.
I remember going, I was like, again, like this is all like playing out like in one afternoon. Like it's not like a week is going by here in this story. It's just you're all kind of like in the same place. Like, but it's just fun. So that's why it's 3 stars. Like it's again. The whole crux of this is multiversal travel, and wasn't really an issue for anybody.
Yeah. So yeah, plot holes, like Zords showing up in another universe. I think it looks great. I like the story just being real simple, and like if there is a plot hole, I don't really care all that much. So I think 3 is a good spot for it. It's certainly not bad, and if you like either Power Rangers or Godzilla, definitely you should read it. I would recommend it.
I don't know how much actual licensed Godzilla versus Power Rangers merchandise there is now. I might have all of it between that trade paperback. I don't have the individual comics, but that and like remember like the bag clip.
Oh yeah,
like that was like the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Yeah, when and it has the Red Ranger with Tommy's shield.
Yeah, and it's got the Dragon Zord, and then it's
another good couple Power Rangers episodes where Tommy loses his power coin and has to give it to Jason, so Jason becomes the Red Green Ranger, and he has both Zords.
Is that in one of these first 2 seasons of Power Rangers?
It's in the first season, yeah.
Okay.
And basically, eventually all the Power Rangers lose their coins, so they only have 1 left, so they give it back to Tommy, so there's only the Green Ranger for like a couple episodes.
Oh, I think
really good string of episodes. I like those.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, this was I guess this is a good pivot here. This was very nostalgic, kind of rewatching these episodes. So I mean, I think everyone knows that Power Rangers is footage lifted from a show in Japan.
Funny you bring that up. My old college roommate Mo, he posted that he just found that out.
Really?
Yeah. Last night on the old Twitter, he shared the thing. He was like, "Oh, Haim Saban. I just found out he was the guy who used the footage from Japan and just put a bunch of like American kids in it." And I was just like, "Yeah, it's." One of the things I pointed out to him was like, you can always tell which one was Japan and which one was America with the Green Ranger, because in Japan, the Green Ranger has this really nice gold shoulder pad shield thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one they sent to the US to use is like cloth and flimsy and very crappy looking. So you can always tell which ones are lifted from Japan and which ones were shot in America. Just for the record though, like, some of like the karate stuff they do in America, not too bad for like an afternoon kids show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I heard like one theory that I didn't really take the time to corroborate is that actually the original chest guard or shoulder guard or whatever for the Green Ranger was damaged in transit. And that's why. That? I mean, that was.
I thought they just didn't want to send it, so they sent like a really crappy, flimsy one.
Well, I don't know what the actual story is. I didn't like really look into it too much, but like just one thing I saw like kind of like off the cuff somewhere was that like it was damaged, and so like they kind of had to whip together that one that didn't really match. But yeah, I mean, like all these like shows from back then were like, this VR Troopers, Superhuman Cyber Samurai Squad. I always forget like exactly what the full title that is. I think I asked you before if you ever watched that one. And I think you said you didn't.
No.
And I think when I stopped watching Power Rangers, I was like way more into that because that was like, we should do a couple episodes of that because that show was pretty fun. It was like kind of like the same sort of general idea as like the Power Rangers in a way. It's like one kid basically gets this like power to turn into like this like Ultraman type character. He's Gridman in Japan.
Does he just have to say Shazam?
No, but he does say something silly. I don't remember what it is though. But like basically it's like this like the villain of that show is like basically like a computer virus. And like he goes to like this like one like dickhead kid in the school and like says like, yeah, he's like, you're gonna kind of be like my like henchman. And basically like every episode basically revolves around this kid like creating these like computer viruses and sending them into the internet, and the internet apparently is just buildings shaped like circuit boards. So you just get like giant monsters fighting like in a circuit board neon light city with like the dude who like can turn like an Ultraman type thing fighting them there. It's so fucking 90s. And so it's like, it's one of those things like we gotta hack into the mainframe. These like type way feverishly. It's like one of those type shows.
Yeah.
But like I loved the sets and I loved the kaiju design in that show. And I think when I fell off of Power Rangers, I think I was all in on that show.
Interesting.
But that was a little side. It didn't last too long in America. I think it only had like a season. But I recently found the entire show is on, or the US version of the show is on archive.org. So, but anyway, what I was originally going to say was that like as a kid, I don't think I really noticed that there was like a visual quality difference between like the Japanese scenes and the American scenes.
Yeah.
Or probably really, I mean, I was 9. Like, so it's like, I probably didn't really notice that like Tommy's vest was drastically different.
That's the thing I noticed that stuck out to me as a kid. I was like, why is his vest like always different?
Yeah. I mean, I must have noticed it, but I probably didn't care or give it like any thought, to be an innocent child. But, and I think we'll get into like each of the 5 individual episodes, but like what overall, my first thought when I was like rewatching this stuff is like, I think for the most part, I think they did a really good job splicing the footage together.
Oh yeah.
And there's one episode we'll talk about when we get there. That's like, there was one that I was like, okay, it was like the splicing is not good in this episode, but overall I thought for the most part it was pretty good. Yeah, I guess that's all I got to say is that for his little setup.
So I think my favorite part of the story is that when like Tommy first shows up, he's very nice and like fits in with all the other Rangers like perfectly. So it's like, oh, we don't have a green guy. You're dressed in green. Perfect. Yeah, that all makes sense. But when Rita like takes over his mind and corrupts him, he becomes such a dickhead that he's like an internet edgelord. Like the scene where he goes up to where Kimberly's like, hey, I was looking for Jason. Have you seen him anywhere? He's like, matter of fact, I haven't. We were supposed to work out after school, but he never showed up. But let me guess, you're worried about him. Like, when he's such a dick to her, I was just like, you are just an internet troll. Like, that's all you are, like just an incel dork. And I was just watching that. I was like, oh man, Tommy sucks. And then like as soon as like the spell is over, I'm just like, oh, he's back to being a nice guy again.
Yep. He so there's like one first thought I had like when like the episode starts and he's like, oh yeah, Tommy's the new kid that moved to Angel Grove. Like my first thought was like, why does anybody move to Angel Grove? This place is like attacked by giant monsters like every fucking week. Why does anybody move here? In fact, why does anybody stay here?
Probably the housing costs. Pretty low.
It's really cheap.
I mean, it's beachfront property at a low cost,
and it has a bunch of fucking skyscrapers downtown.
Yeah,
it's a real interesting small town that has a ginormous buildings in its town center.
then they go back up after when, like, so there's always construction work going on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
a lot of work.
Good place for that industry.
Yeah. Like I said, they're seaside towns, so they got ports. A lot of coming and going.
Yeah. Apparently, juice bars also double as places to have a karate tournament and a gym and an arcade.
Yeah, well, do you notice how the juice bar, that the guy who's like behind the bar, he's like super like New York Italian, definitely on witness protection.
He's like, listen, I just came here to start this juice. I'm just Ronnie, the juice bar owner, or whatever his name
I'm just the juice bar guy. Hey, over here.
But there's like one part, and like maybe I just totally forgot about, like, I mean, my memory is so was initially so blank on like watching the Power Rangers. Like there's like one part where it's like when Tommy is being a dick and Kimberly comes in, she goes, have you seen Tommy? And like the juice bar guy, witness protection guy, is just like, yeah, he's over there. And it's like just points like a random part of the juice bar, and he's just there like on like a chest press. And I was like, what is this fucking juice bar that just has like gym equipment like randomly just, I don't know. So it's like a one. First I also thought it was the Peach Pit After Dark set too from 90210. And but I was like, what? This is like the most random ass place like on the planet. I don't get it.
When I was a kid, I always just imagined it was like the Boys and Girls Club, Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, but it seemed way cooler.
Like we had bumper pool though, so that was
we did
cool.
have bumper pool. Yeah, bumper pool was sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tommy's a good guy. First episode, Rita decides she's like, I need my own Green Ranger. I don't really remember if like having a sixth Ranger was ever discussed prior to this episode. Does that ring any bells to you? Is that just like a thing that's like, because there's one part like Zordon's like, oh, the prophecy's fulfilled. All six Rangers are together. And I was like, did they ever reference a sixth Ranger prior to this episode?
Zordon never referenced a prophecy of a sixth Ranger. No one was ever dressed in green before Tommy.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Another thing I totally forgot, that they had a flying Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle.
Forgot about that too. This was a nice little refresher on that.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, that must be like an American invention for the show. Yeah. And then nope, there is Japanese footage.
There is a Japanese version. I did not know that.
That's what I'm assuming. Like one of the clips is like really grainy and stuff. Like,
okay.
And I was like, so I guess I'm just assuming that it's part of the Japanese footage. But I was like, okay, it's a little unexpected.
One other thing I noticed from the first couple episodes, do you notice how Bulk was dressed?
Where Bulk is the one who's like wearing like the weird like leather cap, right?
Yes, but he has a leather jacket with a denim vest on over it.
Yes, yeah.
Looks like he's playing the game in 2001.
Oh, a little Triple H there. Yeah. Oh, then doesn't the other kid Skull, or was he Skull or Spike?
Yeah, no, it's Skull. Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, and he's like wearing like the spiked collar, and stuff like that. And then like I had to like, after I watched this, like I went to like a Power Rangers wiki, and I was like, I'm gonna guess like these two like pop up more. They're like in fucking everything in Power Rangers. Like after this, and like one of them I think becomes like an Orange Ranger or some shit like that. But like I couldn't really tell if that happens like in a movie or a show or just like a video game. And I was like, of course these two like just fucking stick around forever in this series. I'm so lost in Power Rangers lore. This is, and it was just very fascinating to me, like the fact like the two bully characters like stick around forever.
Yeah, back to the plot. So Tommy and Jason start the show off like they're having like a karate tournament match, and they end in a tie, because of course they do. No winners, only participants.
Listen, you can't have the new guy come in and beat your established leader, and you can't have the new guy,
lose his first match.
Yeah. So, they booked themselves into a corner with that one.
All right. But as wrestling fans, it could be El Hijo de Vikingo going against Kenny Omega, having a real strong showing, but coming up short.
That's a very recent reference.
It's fresh. So as Tommy's like walking away from scaring Bulk and Skull away from Kimberly, like, and like hanging out with friends and stuff, he's walking down this darkened alley, and Rita summons him to fight putties, and so he fights the putties and beats them. Really tall task right there. And and in doing so becomes the Green Ranger.
Yeah, I like how that was the test. to become the Green Rangers, to beat the disposable bad guys that get their asses kicked by everybody every episode.
So the putty costumes too are another way you can tell which ones are Japan and which ones are the US, because in the US the putties are just like these bodysuits that look like have like the Charlie Brown.
Oh yeah.
And then in Japan they're just all gray.
Also, is this where we get, is it this episode or the second episode? But one of these, it's like we get actual American shot footage of Rita. It's not the actress, but like they have like a stand, like when she's standing on the roof of the building.
Oh yeah.
That's like an American shot stuff with like a random, not a random, but like an American actress. Because I guess they wanted to fly in the actress for Rita, but I guess they couldn't for whatever reason. No, because I had to look to see. I was like, I got to know like what the deal is with like this like American shot stuff, like, and not to get sidetracked from the plot, but like Goldar has his own US costume.
Yep. And that's actually pretty good too.
Yeah.
You can't really tell too much of a difference.
It's in the mouth, right? Like
yeah.
I think it's like you just like his mouth seems like it's like just stuck open when it's like in the US footage. But yeah, that is a pretty good looking suit. But sorry, we were going through the plot.
So Rita makes Tommy the Green Ranger, and he's evil now. And so basically when we get our first fight between the Power Rangers and the Green Ranger, it comes pretty late. Green Ranger shows up into their Fortress of Solitude first and puts a can't read disc into Alpha 5's back, which I didn't realize Alpha 5, who's from another dimension, would have a CD drive, but good to know.
Yep.
And
he probably put a copy of Load by Metallica in his back.
I was thinking when I was watching this, it was Saint Anger.
I was trying to think, was Load out in 1993?
No,
yeah, because Black Album's 92? 91? Yeah. So, okay, yeah. So we're just, it's the demos for Load. That's what he puts in there.
So the Power Rangers can't morph, they can't teleport, they're kind of stuck. And so the Green Ranger starts wreaking havoc all over the city. We get our first, I guess, the Zords versus a small character fight, because Tommy's beating the crap out of the Rangers,
right?
And then they use Megazord to beat Tommy.
Yeah, I was like, this is overkill. Now at this point, is Jason captured? I think he's captured at this point, right?
At that point, because they had to form Dragonzord without him.
But they also had no problem calling his Zord without him.
Yeah,
even though he's imprisoned, where he will be for the next 20 episodes. It feels like.
Yeah, he's there for a little bit. I think 3 episodes. He's Jason is the Tommy from Godzilla versus Power Rangers.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like how we're talking about the comic. I was like, how did you get 5 issues out of this? One thing I will say about this is I was like, how did you get 5 episodes out of this arc? And then as we keep going, there's one episode that I think is just a total mess. And but I'll save it till we get there. But I want to pause for one nostalgia break as we go through this, because now I'm kind of going back to when we were kids about this. And seeing the Green Ranger and him having the cool vest and stuff, I remember going, oh man, I was I remember as a kid wanting him to become a good guy. And I think this is kind of and maybe if you're younger and you don't really get what these characters were in the 90s, like Boba Fett may not seem as cool now, but I tell you, in the 90s, Boba Fett was the coolest fucking thing in pop culture. And whenever you had a character that was Boba Fett it was the cool shades of gray anti-hero character, and Green Ranger was the fucking Boba Fett for 9-year-old kids.
Yeah.
This, and in the comic side of the world, we get Venom. These are your Boba Fett bad guys that you want to be good guys because they're way too cool. And Green Ranger was certainly fucking it. He's even kind of got he's got the cool helmet like Boba Fett, but his coolest thing that he hasn't even happened yet. That'll happen at the end of this synopsis.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So Goldar is fighting Jason in this prison in Rita's fortress on the moon.
No, he's in the lion's den.
It's the yes, correct. All right, you got it. So they're in the lion's den. Goldar has the morpher, and he's like taunting Jason with it. He drops it into the fog on the floor, which doesn't appear over Jason, I guess for shot purposes. It's very cooperative fog. And Goldar's like stabbing the floor, like trying to kill Jason. Like, it's very intense. Basically, the Green Ranger just shows up and goes like, no, I got this. And Goldar's like, okay, whatever, I don't care. And so the Green Ranger's trying to then kill Jason, and Jason eventually finds his morpher and gets out of there. And so they punish the Green Ranger by having him do, I guess, calisthenics for the next like episode or so.
Oh, that's right. They just like leave him there.
Yeah. But they also introduced Scorpina.
Yes. Okay.
So she's another heel. Very cute too.
This is the third episode of this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes because like this is the episode I thought was a mess. Also, I learned that Scorpina and Goldor are married in the Japanese original.
In the show?
Yeah, in the Japanese show, they're married, which is why there's like so many like clips of them like they're kind of clipped into the show where it's like they're kind of like having drinks together and they're like on top of each other, like arms around each other, and I was like, yeah, they seem like they should be dating. So yeah, she just like busts out of a rock randomly. She goes by. I thought you would appreciate that when she's in her rock, she like rolls past the mushrooms from Matango.
Nice.
I thought you would have enjoyed that. But like, all right, so this is like I'm looking at my notes because like this is the episode where I was like, this is where the editing of the Japanese footage and the American footage feels so fucking out of place. There's like one part at the beginning of the episode where like, so Goldor is still like stabbing the floor looking for Jason and missing hilariously. But like, so he's down there doing that, but like for whatever reason, like you hear his voice say something to Rita in another scene. Like, so what, did he leave for like 5 seconds to make that comment to Rita and then like warp back to the lion's den with Ken Shamrock? So like that was a little weird. You know, Scorpina appears and they have like, she starts fighting the Rangers and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta like kind of like call her back. And I was like, but she's like whipping their ass. And then all of a sudden the fight's just like over. They don't actually show calling her back, and then all of a sudden she's back in like Rita's palace, and like this one I was just like, what the fuck is happening in this episode?
They kind of explain it later. I think they realized it like, by going like, Rita keeps on pulling back like when she's got the advantage. She must be building up for a bigger fight.
Yeah, it's just the way it's edited. I was like having like whiplash. I was like, I was like, this is confusing. I feel like even if I was like a kid, I was probably very perplexed by like whatever was happening in this episode.
But one of the cooler things from this point of the story, though, is that Rita causes an eclipse, so Megazord runs on solar power, apparently. Very green energy efficient.
Yep.
And so Megazord's like losing power. And Megazord's fighting Goldar, who he's fought before and defeated several times. But also a giant Scorpina, which is not Scorpina, but like a monster.
Well, so, she takes the scorpion form.
Yeah. I always thought like her pores just got bigger and opened up, and that's why she looked like big. I thought of that joke when I took a shower today.
It was good. It's good. I chuckled. I lulled.
But Green Ranger is sent from the prison to the Power Rangers lair again, where he's like held captive again by Zordon, who's brought back, and eventually he leaves. But they instead of having Dragon Zord show up right now, it's just a giant Green Ranger.
Yes, this as a kid, I remember this scene as a kid going, it's kind of fucking weird.
Yeah, but it's like it's got like cool lighting, and because of the eclipse, it's got 3-on-1, and like the Power Rangers up until this point have won every single episode at the end. It's just been like a one shot episode where it's like, okay, they get Megazord, they kill the bad guy. It's either in battle mode or Megazord in fighting mode with the sword. They win every episode. These episodes, like the first and third, fourth episodes, are like the first episodes where like they literally just lose.
Yeah, actually, I don't think they like really win at all. Right? Like in the very, very end, right? Yeah. But like, yeah, they just get their ass.
The second one ends in like a cliffhanger, like they're just kind of standing there, like wondering what to do next. But the other three, they all end with like the Power Rangers pretty much losing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're getting beat down left and right, and that probably would have like really upset me as a kid if I didn't think the Green Ranger was so cool.
Yeah.
Also, he didn't mention he's wielding the Sword of Darkness now at this point.
Okay, yeah, we forgot about that.
So like, talk about like how you just don't, when you're, again, to be an innocent like 9-year-old kid watching this shit, like, and not having to like overthink these things that you do now as like a 39-year-old adult. But like, so like Rita puts him under a spell, and then it turns into, well, now you got to give him the Sword of Darkness, or else your spell's going to be broken.
But now the Sword of Darkness encapsulates the spell forever.
Right.
But if the sword is ever
forever.
broken, then the spell is lifted.
Right. So like, I was like, what happened to your like original? Like, why did you do that? Like, did you need the sword, or was it going to just run out?
Yeah, it's a temporary spell. It's like hypnosis. Hypnosis. Why can't I say that word? Take a shot.
But the Sword of Darkness becomes the
time heals all spells.
It becomes the briefcase from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
the Sword of Darkness basically becomes at this point.
But it also sets up for the final episode, which I think is just fantastic. You get Dragon Zord, so Megazord and Dragon Zord are fighting. You get Tommy versus Jason as Rangers fighting.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like the pinnacle episode of like the entire story. Like the episodes start with Tommy and Jason like sparring as friends, but they're also competing for like to win a tournament. So it's like a friendly competition. Whereas this is like more like Jason knows now that he has to destroy the sword to end the spell to like free Tommy, but Tommy is trying to kill Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more stakes. It's bigger stakes, but it sets up from the beginning. Now we have this cool Dragon Zord, which is clearly Mecha Godzilla, just rearranged.
Yeah.
And then we have Megazord
right down to the finger missiles too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so like you get this really cool battle, this really cool fight, pretty much happening side by side, and in the end, the good guys win finally.
They do.
Takes a while, but they got there.
So like that Dragon Zord debut scene, which does kind of get reused quite a bit throughout the series, but still, I remember like watching that. I was like, that Dragon Zord was like the coolest fucking thing in the planet to me.
Yes.
I think I had like probably just discovered Godzilla at this point, so that probably means like the only things I probably know about Godzilla right now are probably just like Godzilla versus Megalon and maybe like Godzilla versus Gigan. I don't think I knew about Mechagodzilla yet, or if I did, it came like shortly after this. But like, I probably thought the Dragon Zord was the coolest thing, and then I feel like I saw like the show on Mechagodzilla, and I was like, oh no, this is the coolest thing. But either way, up until that point, that Dragon Zord was like so like I remember watching that for the first time, going like, I was like, this is so fucking cool. Like, comes out of the ocean, cool, walks to the city, fires the missiles, randomly decides to bite a smokestack in half. Also there's like one part like at the beginning of this last episode where it's like they finally learn that Tommy is the Green Ranger, and like
so we never talked about this. The Power Rangers have no clue that Tommy is the Green Ranger,
right?
Even though it's very obvious.
Right. I was like, the new kid shows up, and then like all of a sudden he's acting like a dickhead with like green mesh tank tops and like green.
He's dressed like Christian.
Yeah, it's like
WWF in 2000.
I was like, how obvious do you want him to make it? But then when they finally figure out it's him, like someone goes, "Oh man, how could Tommy do this?" And I laughed because I was like, you knew this dude for like a collective 10 minutes before he turned evil. The only interaction you had with him is when he fought your leader, Jason, who I forgot to mention earlier in one episode is wearing 49ers shorts. And I thought that was kind of funny. But I was like, you knew him like literally for the duration of that fight with Jason at the beginning of this whole series. And now you're thinking like, oh man, how could Tommy do this? For all you know, he was an asshole from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I digress.
He wasn't though. He was a nice guy.
He was.
He was just caught under a spell. Yeah. But yeah, we didn't talk about how the Power Rangers were completely in the dark on this, but Tommy knew they were the Power Rangers the whole time, basically. As soon as he was under Rita's spell,
he knows from the get-go, yeah.
And so when they find out, they're just like, oh no, it's Tommy. So Kimberly goes to confront him and she's like, Tommy, I know. And then Tommy's like looking at her like he wants to do something, but like they're in public, so he can't, because he has to keep his identity as the Green Ranger a secret.
For some reason.
No, because Rita tells him to. So he has to
obey. That's right.
He has to obey his Empress, so he can't do anything in public, but you can tell he wants to. So this was like the best human scene was like when they're in public at the juice bar and like having this very tense conversation where they know like they're mortal enemy.
Yeah, I like scenes like that when they happen, when people are in their secret identities and have like.
It's like, it reminds me of Batman Returns when Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer are on the couch together, and like Michael Keaton sees the burn mark.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly that's like exactly the type of scene I was
Yeah.
thinking of. I'm a sucker for that trope. I like that.
So, but aside from that, like the human stuff is kind of ridiculous. Like Billy's just like talking like technological mumbo jumbo.
Oh god, yeah.
Like,
in his overalls.
It's blue. Come on, he's got to wear blue.
Yeah.
Not a lot of stylish blue stuff. Unless Billy could have probably worn like a nice like, mesh jumpsuit or something like that.
What's the robot's name? Alpha
5. Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I fucking hated Alpha 5, and yeah, and as an adult, I really fucking hate Alpha 5.
Alpha 5 is the Jar Jar Binks of the Power Rangers.
Yeah,
world.
I still remember as a kid just not fucking liking Alpha 5. Like, I just remember going like, he's like, I probably like applauded when the Green Ranger like put a fucking reload and load in his CD-ROM drive, and I was probably good. I hope he fucking stays dead. But
what, you stop?
He's the fucking Manila of Power Rangers, and the Green Ranger at that point in time was Gabara punching him in the face.
Nice.
Yes, that's my feelings on Alpha 5. They don't like Zordon either as a kid. It was like,
come on now, it's Zordon. He's in a tube.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Bob Dole in The Simpsons.
But is he
like some kind of tube?
But is Zordon really in a tube? Because they're just like, oh yeah, we gotta find like Zordon's coordinates. I was like, okay, so this is like the fucking first like Microsoft Teams like Zoom calls that they're doing. like because I just think too, he's just like a floating head in a tube. But they're saying stuff like, oh yeah, we gotta find like Zordon's coordinates.
Yeah.
And like I was like, oh no, so this is just like fucking FaceTime.
Yeah,
is what this is.
That's pretty much it's tube time.
Does Zordon ever get like revealed as like a full body character?
Yeah. Not in the show, in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he bald?
Yes.
Okay. Good. It really fucked me up if he had like long hair or some shit.
No, he's a hair coward.
Okay. But
when you were talking about the reveal of the Dragon Zord, though, like I was always like a Red Ranger kid. Like I always thought that was like the coolest, like the Tyrannosaurus. Like it was just after Jurassic Park came out, so the Tyrannosaurus Zord was like my favorite. Then Tommy came out with the Dragon Zord, and I was like, oh no, he's got the dagger. I always wanted the dagger.
Yeah,
when I was a little kid. I was like, I want the dagger so I could summon Dragon Zord, and because that is the coolest Zord now.
Well, then you must really like this episode because you don't really get like a Megazord Dragon Zord fight. You get like the Dinozord fighting.
Yeah,
the Dragon Zord. I was glad to see the Dinozord getting some solo time in. Oh, sorry,
it's not used very often, but it is.
Yeah, I hate to keep backtracking. But like we even talk about the fucking traumatic ending from a couple episodes ago when all the Zords get thrown into like the lava pit, and it seems like they're all like dying like at the end of like Godzilla 85.
So I think they reused this shot when they killed off all of the Zords at the end of the season to bring in their new Zords for the next season.
Oh god, it's like it was already traumatic once.
So I think they used the same shot, but not only that, but they reused the shot in reverse when they resummoned the Zords out.
I mean, I guess that works, right? Like makes sense, I guess.
It worked surprisingly well.
Yeah. But like part of me like wondered, was like, wait, what is the original clip? Is the original clip them rising out, or is the original clip them falling in? You know?
It's a real chicken egg
situation. It is, yeah. But yeah, that probably was fucking traumatizing as a child, I'm gonna guess for me.
I was probably okay with it. I was just like, yeah, they're not dead.
Like, we've already lived through Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Like, we're okay with this.
But yeah, like when Dinozord is fighting Dragon Zord, like clearly you look at them side by side, Dragon Zord's like 1,000 times cooler.
Yeah, but the Dragon Zord kind of surprisingly goes down fairly quickly.
Yeah. In
that episode, which I was kind of shocked because my memory was like Dragon Zord was like kind of like Megazord's equal.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I felt like he just got his ass whipped kind of quick.
But yeah, once Jason breaks the Sword of Darkness and he shoots it.
Yeah.
I should say breaks it. Yeah, he shoots it with his zapper, and the spell is lifted. Tommy is now a good Green Ranger, and they reveal the coolest design, which is Dragon Zord in battle mode or whatever it's called, which is there's no pterodactyl. involved, or Dinozord, but there is the same legs are involved, and the head, like the mouth, drops down to become like a person, like a robot face, and like
it becomes Voltron, basically.
The gold shields come in to become like a chest protector, and then like the Mastodon arms are still the arms, but there's no Dinozord or pterodactyl involved with this. But I think it looks way cooler than Megazord.
Yeah, I liked this design as a kid. Did you ever watch Voltron as a kid? No, I watched a fair amount of Voltron when I was a kid. Like, our local Blockbuster had like a bunch of like Voltron VHSs, and I thought it was like the coolest thing. And when I saw this design, I was like, oh, it's like Voltron. And then also, like, you didn't really watch that much Transformers, did you, growing up?
I watched Transformers when I was very young.
Okay. Like, Transformers was the thing I was like big into.
Yeah.
And this kind of reminded me of like when like the combiners, like, you know, happened. And I was like, okay, I was like, I'm on board. Like, this weird Voltron Transformer design thing going on. I was like, I'm on board with this. I like this.
But yeah, when Dragon Zord in battle mode or whatever it is called, I always forget the name of it, so that's just what I call it. When that thing isn't enough, it becomes Ultra Megazord. So like they all just like another gigantic Titanus white thing shows up, like a tank, and they all just hop onto that thing, and it just explosions everywhere.
Yeah, I remember that, just like constant booms going on.
Like, but that was like the reused shot that you used to get. You didn't get it often, but when you got it, it was like, okay, this is the you cannot possibly beat this.
Yeah. So, did you remain a bigger Red Ranger fan as a kid, or did like the Green Ranger take over for you at this point?
For me, it was almost like they became like a tag team.
Okay.
Like I didn't stop liking the Red Ranger, but I also recognized that the Green Ranger was like,
the Boba Fett effect.
He had the better Zord, and he had the gold chest plate, and I was just like, there's something like superior about him.
Yeah.
Whereas the Red Ranger was more or less just like the leader. He was like a Leonardo, where the Red Ranger was more like a Raphael type of thing.
Yeah. I think like I was kind of, I think again with like all the other shit that I was watching at this point, I think Power Rangers was like somewhere in the middle for me, but the Green Ranger stuff is like definitely like what like hooked me in. But again, when he becomes the White Ranger, when they run out of footage from the original show, because the Green Ranger was only in 20 episodes of the original show, and like, and he becomes,
and that's why they do episodes where he's not involved.
Yeah, and like when he becomes like the White Ranger, I just remember like looking at that design, going, and I still feel this way to this day. Like I was like, that design, I said, not as cool, as cool, and literally like that crossover to him like losing the cool Green Ranger design to the White Ranger design, I think I was just like, yeah, you know what, I'm out. Play of other things I'm watching right now that like kind of scratch this itch, and I think I don't really like the rest of you, so I'm out.
So I did the same thing where it was just like I liked the old designs, I didn't like the newer designs, so I kind of dropped off for Power Rangers at this point going on. Did see the movie that came out like the next year with Ivan Ooze. I like that. I
think I did see that too. That might have been the end of.
That was pretty much the end of.
Yeah, that might have been it for me. Because again, now I am full into Godzilla at this point. I am probably not like really looking back at anything else at this point.
I was probably just being like, it's baseball. I like baseball.
Well, I mean, I was watching basketball too a lot of the time. So
yeah, I always watch baseball.
Basically, everything I watch now, as someone in their late 30s, is probably exactly what I was watching at this point when I was like 11 years old. I was watching the Celtics, wrestling, and Godzilla shit just all the time.
I was not watching the Celtics when I was 11. I was probably more like, if I watched basketball, it was the Bulls.
Yeah, well, that's probably why I was also watching the Hornets all the time.
Yeah, the Hornets too.
But yeah, so that was 5 whole episodes of Green with Evil.
Do you want to rank them individually, or do you want to just rank it all?
Let's rank it all, because I don't know if I could. I think like all of them, I think are kind of generally the same rating, except for that third or the Scorpina episode that I think is like just like a total mess in terms of editing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would be like a 1 star to me, because it's just so like cool stuff. Just like, know what it's like? It's fucking edited like Rise of Skywalker. So, which is not a compliment.
Somehow, Rita Repulsa has returned.
I mean, I hope that's how the movie that's coming out in a few weeks on Netflix starts because like in the trailer's like I got a new body and she's got like a metal face going on.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh man, I just hope
she'll kind of like Uncle Howdy.
Oh yeah, okay, yes, yeah. So like, I don't know. I guess I feel like we'll probably watch it. We'll probably do a little mini review.
Yeah.
Of that, right?
For that, like, I don't know if we'll do a full episode on it, but I am kind of looking forward to it. My interest is pretty peaked on it.
Yeah, I feel like this will kind of come full circle with me. This episode and watching that movie will just take this Power Rangers nostalgia trip full circle for me.
And when we're ranking this, I feel like for member berries, like it's 5 stars.
I agree. Yes.
So we'll rank it as 39-year-old adults watching these episodes.
The nostalgia was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved the trip down memory lane. Being a kid again, being obsessed over these particular 5 episodes, wanting the Green Ranger to turn babyface, ultimately getting that payoff of the Green Ranger turning babyface and being so fucking happy as a kid.
Yes.
So yes, for that aspect, it gets 5 stars.
Right. So we'll admit there, but like we're talking about like we're critics.
Quality now, yeah, quality. Just like how does it hold up? I'll go first as like the not, Power Rangers are cool, but just not a thing I've kept with that much. Like, did this really compel me to watch? Like at first I was like, if I really like this, I'm just gonna kind of keep binge watching it on Netflix. When I got to the end of that 5 episodes, I was like, I think I've seen that. I think I've seen enough for a while. I think maybe I'll drop in a few episodes here or there. So
yeah, it's 95 minutes. So I mean, like, you can't do any more.
It's fun, but it's like not as fun as like other 90s shows. I feel like I've gone back and watched.
So it's Denzel's friend, is what you're saying.
It's Denzel's friend. Yeah. It's not Denzel. It's Denzel's friend. I think this is falling in the 3-star category.
Okay, that's still a good rating. Then
it's still good. It was none of it was bad. None of it was bad.
I thought you were going to go 2, to be honest.
No, none of it was bad. Well, that one episode, the Scorpina episode, again, bad. But like, but even that, it's like just disjointed. That's all. But like the stuff you see is cool. It just doesn't flow. But no, it was fun. But again, like, it wasn't like so much fun for me. So it's a 3. It's a 3 for me.
So for me, what you're talking about when you go and watch different episodes and stuff afterwards, I did do that because I was like, now I want to see the Dragon Megazord thing fight. I want to see like all the different incarnations of it. So I did go back and watch all like the different incarnations of the Zords, and so I'm gonna give it a solid 4.
Okay.
Like, it's very 90s. It doesn't hold up like visually at all, but like at the same time, it's very cheesy and corny, and I do like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 stars.
Yeah.
Required viewing, in my opinion.
I feel like this is probably the definitive Power Rangers episodes to watch. Maybe that is probably nostalgia talking. But I feel like this is if you gotta watch something, this is probably where to start.
Yeah.
Also, I learned that I did not realize this. Lord Zed was totally a US creation. Yep. I did not know that.
Yep, he sure was.
Yeah. What a weird but cool design, I guess.
It is very like gory for like a kid's show.
You know what I remember as a kid?
Exposed
like
brain.
I think I was already, again, I'm like on the way out with like Power Rangers by the time Lord Zed comes around. And I even kind of remember going, like, I was like, oh, they did that thing where they introduced like another villain randomly and it's not Rita anymore. And I was like, nah, this is like a jump the shark moment. I didn't know the term jump the shark as a kid, but I remember going, it kind of cheapens it.
Fucking Fonzie, man. He had to jump that shark.
But no, it was good overall. You know what? And I realized I actually really I think like Zach might be like my second favorite Ranger after the Green Ranger. Like, he's got to step up to be leader a lot in this.
He has his own form of fighting too. Hip Hop Kwando.
Oh yeah, he does say that. God, it's so fucking 90s.
A lot of his fights, like scenes though, if you notice, they're sped up.
Oh, I did notice that.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if they were doing that for like everybody, for the US scenes.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like what the reason was for it. Like, I don't know. Everything he did looked good.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't know wasn't just Jason and Tommy the actual like martial artists, like their actors. Like weren't they the only two that like?
I think Billy did it too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because he does. David Yost is his name. He does like action stunt shows at like theme parks. That's his job.
Okay. I also thought like at first was like, is he the guy from like Troll? That's like they're eating her now. They're going to eat me.
Oh my god!
But like,
nope, that's not him.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like he just kind of looks like him. So yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing their return in a few weeks in this Netflix show.
Yeah,
I have decided, I've committed here to watch it.
Good.
We will capsule review it in the following episode.
Did you get any figs?
I did kinda, you know. Thought I was gonna have Playmates Paragon to talk about today, but lost in the mail. Hopefully it'll be here sometime soon. But I think you have the better purchases this week.
Oh,
I will just kind of wrap up.
So, I was gonna say if you want me to go first, I will.
Why don't you start with your penance purchase? I'll go with my other purchase, and then you can
bring it home.
Yeah.
All right. So my penance purchase, excuse me. I take a shot. Jeez, I'm not even drinking.
I am.
Was a print of Jet Jaguar, Godzilla, Gigan, and Megalon from Godzilla vs. Megalon. Because I had no Megalon merch at all, believe it or not. And so this is my first piece of Megalon merch. Is this print? It was only like $10, but I'm surprised like how good quality it is. It's like not shitty, just paper. It's actually like laminated and kind of nice. So I want to get a frame for it. So
you should frame that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a little like I have that Bret Hart Mr. Perfect poster. I would just do like a little plastic frame.
Do you have a diploma hanging up anywhere in here? You should put it next to that.
I think my parents took that.
I don't even know where my diplomas are.
Yeah, my parents took them. They were just like, I was like, can I have them so I can display them because they're my accomplishments? Nah.
No, I just
I was like, all right, I don't need them.
I took over a year to pick up my college diploma, and when I got it, I threw it in a drawer. Don't even know where it is to this point.
Yeah. Well, at least you got it.
I did. But like, so if you are familiar with Godzilla vs. Megalon publicity stills, this is the one where they're all standing on the rocks, all lined up together, hitting their victory poses, a la the end of the Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, but they all hit their poses at the very end.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it. It's a nice little picture.
Yeah, your penance has been paid.
My penance has been paid. It was a purposeful penance.
So my one purchase that showed up on time for this episode is it's kind of like Godzilla 2000 style, but you know, it's official Godzilla. It's an official Godzilla coffee mug.
Oh,
where it looks like Godzilla 2000. You know, took a little bit of creative liberties with the spikes, but I mean, you know, it's also going to be a functional coffee mug. You know, the tail is kind of like the handle that you grab. Mm-hmm. So for the listeners at home, I tend to drink pretty much energy drinks exclusively. I'm trying to reduce that, and I don't like coffee, so I've been drinking tea, and this is my new tea mug at home. So you know, I start my day with a
little tea.
I need to have at least 2 bags of tea in that cup to try to get anywhere close to the caffeine intake I get from energy drinks. What
kind of tea you rocking?
I buy it at Whole Foods. It's like some really harsh, like Scottish style breakfast tea.
All right.
Because I like my tea to be like my beers. Like they got to be really hoppy and kind of bitter and kind of harsh, and that's like how I want it to be. Like to punish myself to start the day. I don't know if
you did Earl Grey hot or anything like that.
No, just the typical Scottish, breakfast black tea. You know, but again, I want it to kind of be harsh because it's like.
Do you sweeten it up at all?
No, I pour a little bit of milk in. That's about it. I don't add any sugar, no honey, nothing like that.
Interesting. I'm also a person who prefers unsweetened tea.
Okay. I thought I was alone on that island, but I'm not. Glad to hear about
it tastes good when it's sweetened, but like you get it unsweetened. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like as I get older, I don't like sweetened things all too much.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I need that harsh tea, and it's coming out of the back of Godzilla 2000. So actually, it's more coming off the top of his head. So, but it's a lovely mug.
Next time you think it, just think, hey, I'm a super beast.
Yeah. One complaint about the mug though is that Godzilla's head is not flat at the top where the hole is. So after I rinse it out and I put it in my thing to drain, does not rest evenly. And also, I'm a type of person who I like to put my glasses upside down when I put them back in the cabinet, because that's how you, to my wife, if you're listening, that's how you prevent dust from getting in the glasses. That's why I always put mine upside down. I don't know why you don't, but
you can just hover it over the sink for like 2 seconds, clean it out real quick, dump that out, and then you're good to go.
Oh, I see what side you're on. But so I can't put this I can't put this mug upside down.
I think I have all my cups upside down for this reason.
Okay, yes, okay.
I'm just saying, like, if you don't do that, it's not a big deal.
All right, Tom Cruise and Devil's Advocate, or Keanu Reeves, whoever was in that fucking movie with Pacino. Keanu Reeves, right?
It's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was Tom Cruise.
I don't know. When was the last time you fucking saw that movie? And like, come on, they're fucking interchangeable in some of our Mandela effect memories.
Oh, what's the line Al Pacino says?
He's an absentee landlord.
Yeah, he's a sadist.
What a fucking movie. So didn't see that reference coming. So yes, that was my big purchase, my Godzilla 2000 coffee/tea mug that fucking collects dust for the 20 hours I don't use it, that it sits in my cabinet.
Sorry about your damn
3 stars out of 5 because of that.
He drinks it every day. 3 stars.
3 stars. Well, it's a design flaw.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to top that.
I got a lot of mileage on that review, more than I expected.
So I went out shopping, and I found a Playmates Godzilla Ultima in the wild.
You found it finally.
I found it finally, and I take a picture of it and send it to you and just be like, is this normal? Because I'd never seen one in person before. And the way it looks, it's just like the head is almost entirely gray.
Oh, yeah, from like the paint like kind of splotching over.
Yeah, he's got almost like, just like for his face, he's got like a green mustache almost.
Yeah.
But like, then the rest of his body is painted normally. But like, for some reason, the head, like, there's a string of like, there's like a little small part that needs gray paint, and they just like kind of just like slapdash did a big splotch of it. So there's like a portion of his head that is painted gray that shouldn't be, and so it spills over into his face, and so it's like a huge. I told Spendit, I was like, "Is this an error? Like, this is pretty bad."
Yeah, and I sent you the picture of mine. Like, nope.
I'm like, "Oh no,
same.
It's Playmates."
Yeah.
But the rest of the body's pretty good.
So for the listener at home, you are both holding the Bandai Movie Monster Series in your hand, and you have the Playmates Godzilla Ultima in your hand.
I'm just looking at the Playmates one right now, though. Like, overall, it's not bad. It's obviously got the smoothness Playmates thing that's on all their figures that for some reason it's just a thing they have.
But they painted the red lines into the dorsal plates, which the Bandai one didn't do.
Some of the dorsal plates have little red paint on it, and it shows that they can paint accurately if you try.
Yep.
Just not on parts that aren't really important, like the face. And the arms are kind of good. They go. They're articulated. You can go all the way around with them, but like his thighs are too big, so that stops them. They can go all the way around though.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you can't go all the way around.
Yes. But his fingernails are like rounded dots instead of being sharp. And I don't know if that's like, I don't know, that could be like a thing for like, because like these are like the Bandai stuff is like toys meant for collectors, whereas like this is meant for kids.
I was gonna say, is this a Fling'em Sling'em
probably, yeah,
situation?
Like that's I suspect something like that is probably like, because it's like this is truly like a kid's toy, like not like a collector's toy, And so I feel like that's probably like a safety regulation or something.
So for context, the Fling'em Sling'em is a WWF ring from the 80s through the LJN series, and it had these very like not sharp but like narrow and hard ring posts that you could step on and do a little damage to yourself if you did.
Yeah.
So in future releases, it was called the Monster Ring, and it had like flattened out like ring posts that you couldn't like really hurt yourself on. You had to try to hurt yourself at that point. So that's the reference there. But yeah, compared to the Movie Monsters Ultima, I think, you know, you get your stereotypical Playmates action pose. His head's kind of tilted and his feet aren't level. So
always walking. Playmates figures always got a place to be.
The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7 dorsal plates that are painted definitely look nicer. But other than that, like the Movie Monster figure is way better.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, one thing that I like better about the Playmates one is that the tail, which is long, is first it's painted to the end, but also it's like curled upwards, which again, just, you know, not saving a lot of shelf space, but saving some shelf space.
The mouth is painted too, so that's better, but the head is just overall so much better on the Bandai one.
Yeah.
Like the paint, even though it goes all the way to the tail, it's very sloppy. Same as the head, where it's like gray where it shouldn't be.
Yeah. I feel like there's like things I want to like combine of like both these figures, and you get like the perfect cheap Ultima figure.
Yeah. Like if you combine like the stance, the head, with like just the mouth and dorsal fin paint from the Playmates one, then that would make it really good.
Yeah. My of like these Bandai and Playmates ones, like I have like the Ultima figure that was like the exclusive with the first Singular Point Blu-ray, and like that's like kind of like the best by far. But you also had to like, you know, spend $100 for that Blu-ray set to get that figure, which I did gladly. But like but still, I think the standard issue Bandai one is really, really good. I wish it had like the red lines and the dorsal plates like the Playmates one does. And I wish it's like, I think I actually like the pose better of the Playmates one. Not so much like maybe like the tilted head, but you know, this is the one time where I think like the Playmates action pose is, you know, nice for that figure, because I feel like the Bandai one's almost a little too bland in its pose. But yeah, I mean, detail, mold, everything's better in the Bandai one. But
yeah, for me, it's kind of like the Bandai one is overall a much better figure, but the tail thing, that's a real thing. So the Playmates one, that is better.
Yeah,
the pose, but overall, just the quality is for Bandai's above.
But if you miss the boat in the Bandai one and you don't want to import it, and you find this Playmates one out and about, good pickup. Good pickup.
Yeah, it's just like a shame like they screwed up the paint so bad.
Yeah, that's the spray paint face.
It's like how bad they screwed up the mold for like Shin Godzilla and Space Godzilla. It's how bad they screwed up the paint for this figure.
It's so funny too, because like I'm looking here and like your Playmates Godzilla Terrestrius is like also sitting there, and that's like something that has like a pretty intricate paint scheme going on its head. Like these blues and reds and yellows and grays, like, and that's done really well.
This figure is really good.
Yeah.
The Terrestrius. It's like probably one of the, if not the best Playmates figures.
Yeah, I mean, now that like we kind of have it back out and like we're looking at it now, it's like it's so detailed. The paint is so well done on it. Like it's painted really well underneath. I'll actually have to like go back home and check to see if like the Bandai version of that figure is painted underneath, because I don't actually remember if it is.
Like the only issue with the paint really is that the tail and the torso aren't, like the tail's not painted, but the torso is.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you the Bandai one's painted into the tail. So,
yeah. And this does have the Bandai. The paint stops at a portion of the tail.
Yeah, but yeah, it's Playmates. You're most of the time nowadays so good, but you still hit us with a Playmates moment every now and then.
Yeah, this is unfortunately one of them, but I mean, I still bought it because
I like it. I think the eyes are a little goofy on how they painted on that one, like because they just kind of put like little little black dots in the eye, but he's got like these kind of like weird, like kind of like cyclone style eyes, like in the actual anime.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
So it's like, it just looks like a little weird, like having like little tiny black dots like that.
Yeah. Did Bandai do it? Nah, of course not.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where Bandai's lack of paint, I think, actually it becomes a positive in that situation. But yeah, I think it's a very good figure overall. If you don't have any Ultima figures, and you come across that one, I still think it's a good figure to have.
Yeah.
But
it was $13 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So Playmates, I'll give you a B-. B.
I'm going to go C.
Yeah. I think I'm in the B category.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like in terms of other Playmates figures. When I rank that, I was like, I'm ranking against other Playmates figures.
Yeah, so Playmates does, like, you get Gigan, you get Terrestrius. Those are sort of the pick of the litter. And then you have, like, Hong Kong Godzilla, which I think is up there too. And then you have figures like Space Godzilla and Shin Godzilla down the up there of the spectrum. And I feel like this, like, sort of has elements of both. So it's like a good mold and like a good, like, it could have been good, but the stuff that's wrong with like the early release stuff is wrong here, and so it's right in the middle.
What's worse, the first Shin Godzilla figure or Space Godzilla? It's hard.
Because the only thing wrong with Space Godzilla is the paint. The mold is okay.
And the mouth guard instead of teeth?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's all paint. Like, that's the only thing wrong with it, is they screwed up the paint. The mold on Shin Godzilla is just awful.
Yeah.
So
it's like a frozen...
like, you could turn that Space Godzilla figure into something decent if you painted it. You can't do anything about this one. So I'm going to go Shin Godzilla is the worst.
Yeah, I think it's the worst. It's the worst.
But Space Godzilla is 2.
And do you have the Destroyer? One from Playmates?
No, I found it in the wild and got it for you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you. I do actually think that is actually worse than Space Godzilla.
Really?
Because it's so bland. It's like, it just lacks all detail.
Mm-hmm.
Like Space Godzilla, like the paint is whatever. I can live with like bad paint schemes, but like, yeah, it's like the fact like none of the teeth are like molded is like its most criminal sin. But at the same time too, in my head I just imagine it's like Kurt Angle wearing like a mouthpiece. But like that Destroyer one is like, it's just so bland and so flat that it like,
I remember seeing it and being like, I'll get it if you want it. Like, it was like, if you don't want it, I'm not gonna.
I'm all in on Playmates now. I think the only Playmates figure I'm missing is the Warbat from the GVK. From the GVK line.
Yeah.
And for a while that jacked up in price, and like I think it's going back down now, so I'll just buy it when it becomes really cheap.
I missed out on too many, so I'm just not going to bother.
Did you really? I thought you had most of them.
I didn't get like the Snow Kong, I didn't get the Warbat, I didn't get like a bunch of the Mechagodzilla. Like, I got one of the Mechagodzillas, but not the other one.
I'm missing the
I didn't get the big Mechagodzilla. I didn't get like the big Kong.
Oh, our local Target has the Battle Roar one.
I have the I've seen the Battle Roar one.
Yeah,
but I don't have. I'm
oh, okay, yeah, because you missed the big ones. Okay, yeah.
So I'm just like, I will live without ever collecting all of these.
Yeah, I wasn't setting out to collect all of them. It just happened. But I forgot I am missing. It's like how like they released like 2 Kongs in the first wave. I am missing the closed mouth Kong in that very first wave, but I have that mold of Kong in one of the other Kong variants.
Future sequel, The Mold of Kong.
Well, it's like I have so many Playmates Kong figures, and actually I think like the Playmates Kong figures are like incredible. I think they're very good figures. But like, God, they've repainted those 2 molds that they have a million times, and it's like, even though I don't have that very first release of that closed mouth mold, I have all the variants that came out later. Like, actually, I still have the one where he's got like the the fucking propeller from Scott
I have
Island.
that one.
I haven't even taken that one out of the package yet. And I keep like looking at it, go like, yeah, I should probably open that. But I was like, but how many of these Kongs do I fucking need? Like sitting loose out and about here. Like,
I have all the NECA Kongs, so I have just a ton of Kong figures.
Yeah, talk about another company that sold me a whole bunch of the same mold over and over and over again.
I hit up Rob because he's doing NECA stuff again. And I was just like, hey, if you ever need me, I got more Kong figures I can knock off my shelf for you.
I actually rewatched our video in his farewell video, like, and I had a good laugh. I was looking for something else in my my videos folder on my phone, and I came across that, and I was like, it still pops me when you like leave the memory. Get out of here, Kong. Pop.
Just smack him up. So he fell into my my laundry bin, so he was unharmed.
Oh, good, great. Well, even if he was harmed, you have about 5 more of the same figure, like with different accessories floating around. So
yeah,
God, like I have so much King Kong stuff now all of a sudden from like the last few years, but I feel like it's just like the same fucking mold, just repeating over and over and over again by like 2 different companies.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not too much in terms of figures, not too much Kong merch out there. Although Bandai did release, I think they called it the Giant Ape in the 90s, and it was like based on the Kong
62.
and King Kong, yeah. And so that's a little bit of that's a nice piece to try to track down. I do not have that, so I would like to track that one down at some point.
That'd be a good figure to get because that's the only one that I don't have like a representation of, but like I will live if I never get one.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty elusive. A lot of that Bandai stuff from like the late 80s and early 90s, at least for Godzilla stuff, is like fairly elusive and pricey depending on what it is. So that's one of the ones that's a little bit more like in the hard to track down side. But I think there's actually 2 versions of it too. But
A glow in the dark one.
everything should have a glow in the dark variant.
Don't worry, Super 7 will release like a reaction version for $37.
Every year it just goes up $10.
Anyway, what are we doing next time?
I don't know. Poll. We're doing a poll.
He was doing a poll.
We'll do a poll.
Are we going to finally do GAPPA?
It's up to the viewers.
The listeners.
The listeners. I'm gonna constantly keep putting GAPPA on the poll, and I assume it won't win for a while. And then someday this year, we're just gonna just say, "You don't want it, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do GAPPA. And we're just gonna do it."
I got an idea for this actually.
Okay.
I'll off air. It's a good idea. Anything you want to leave the listeners with? Because they're listeners. They're not actually seeing us right now.
They're absentee landlords.